The death of an assassin. Slouched right down on his knees in the shallows, his blood pooling around him, the assassin knew that he was at his end. It seemed his last thoughts would be ambivalent and confused in nature, for he had failed, certainly, but he was also glad of this. He thought to console himself that his failure was not of skill but of spirit, but surely failure is failure either way. He could have killed her. If he had actually wanted to, he could have killed her. But he had not wanted to. He had hesitated, and in that moment of hesitation, she had stuck a blade into his guts. The thought of the wound brought the pain back, fresh and biting. He clutched at himself, not seeking to stem the flow of his lifeblood, for he was past wanting to live, simply trying to ease his pain as he slipped away. He thought about death, and what comes after. He had never given any deep consideration as to what lies beyond the land of the living. Perhaps nothing. Surely, though, if the lady watches over us, and we shall join her in her eternal palace, there is living beyond dying. There is something beyond dying. He saw before him the faces of all the people he had killed. He did not care for them, nor lament their killings, for they were monsters all, well deserving his blades, his bullets, his poisons. Not her. She did not deserve it. He saw her face as well, his final target, his singular failure. First came the fear and confusion at the sight of him, then came understanding, and with it rage and defiance. She lashed out. He smiled to himself. He was happy that she would live on, even if she was the one who killed him. He lowered his eyes, watched his blood mingling with the river water. She would not live that much longer, he reasoned. Those that wished her dead presumably still did so. Once they knew that she yet lived, they would simply send another to finish his task. She was a trouble brewer, they said, an upstart, someone whose continued existence was a threat to the established order. So the assassin had heard. They tried to disparage her views and ideas. They tried to soil her public image. They failed. They of gilded lives and high houses. They grew frustrated and decided that the best solution to the problem she posed would be to remove her entirely. They always had faith in harsh metal and dangerous men. They could not know to fear that even the worst among villains might be swayed at the last. In his slouched position, the waters reached up to his waist and soaked further upwards into him. He felt the cold taking him as he faded away. He looked outwards towards the deeper river, watched the ripples and waves pass slowly by. He looked upwards at the evening sky and the city, sandstone structures stained red by the setting sun. Briefly, ever so briefly, he thought of the family that he would never know, and if perhaps by some spiritual connection outside perception they might sense his passing. He bowed his head. They were either dead or did not care to know. The very last of his strength seeped out of his open gut. He fell forwards towards the shallows, and the assassin was gone.